CGTN Radio. Hear the difference. Now the news. I'm Shane Bigham. China says its laws representations with the United States over House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's possible visit to Taiwan. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian says China opposes any form of official exchanges between the United States and Taiwan and urged the U.S. Congress to abide by the One China principle. The spokesperson also says such a visit will severely impact China-U.S. relations and sends wrong signals to separatists. Zhao warned that China will take strong measures if Pelosi visited Taiwan. China says it welcomes any appropriate global initiative to assess the documents discovered on U.S. biological military activities. A Chinese envoy to the United Nations urged the U.S. to take a responsible approach and offer clarifications on its biological activities. Dai Bing's also elaborated on China's stance on biological and chemical weapons.
China has suffered from the biological weapons during the Second World War, and thus consistently stands for the complete prohibition and thorough destruction of all weapons of mass destruction, including biological and chemical weapons. China firmly opposes the development, stockpiling, or use biological and chemical weapons by any country under any circumstances, and urges countries that have not done so to destroy their chemical weapons stockpiles as soon as possible.
Hungary says it's ready to pay for Russian gas in rubles. That puts the country at odds with the European Union, which is seeking a united front in opposing Moscow's demand for payment in the currency. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban says sanctions on Russian energy are a red line that his country will not cross. Sri Lanka's outgoing finance minister is suggesting that the country should restructure a $1 billion international sovereign bond maturing in July. Ali Sabri recently submitted his resignation amid a massive economic crisis. He told Parliament that the country should seek a financial bailout, a debt moratorium, or some other means to address the crisis. Yemen's president has sacked his deputy and delegated his own powers to a presidential council. The new body will assume the duties of both the president and his deputy. It'll carry out the political, military, and security duties of the Yemeni government during what it refers to as a transitional period. The Omicron subvariant makes up nearly 3/4 of new COVID-19 infections in the United States. In Los Angeles, the spike in cases comes after the city relaxed its safety measures. Edith Tian-Shan has more.
In at least 8 states, the case numbers that were leveling off are now going up. 75% of Californians have been fully vaccinated, but data from its largest county, Los Angeles, shows that only about 1 in 3 residents in its most vulnerable communities have had a booster shot. Despite warnings about the new subvariant, life appears to be returning to normal. But some public health experts have a warning.
This pandemic is not over. It's highly likely we're going to see another rise in cases. How steep that's going to be, no one can say at this point. But I think to assume that this pandemic is over, to act like it's over, is not only putting you at risk, but it puts others at risk as well.
California is not expected to return to tougher restrictions, but vaccinating its residents with a booster remains an uphill battle.
Tens of thousands of Greeks walked off the job across the country to join a 24-hour general strike over soaring heating, electricity, and housing costs. Evangelos Sipsis reports from Athens.
Authorities are subsidizing fuel even more than usual and have cut sales tax for businesses and students. Electricity increased over 70%, with natural gas being over 78%. Over 40% of Greece's energy comes from natural gas imports, making it particularly vulnerable to price hikes. High inflation is one of the main obstacles to economic recovery.
The Canadian government's formally given the green light to the development of the Bay du Nord offshore oil field, the first deep-water mega project in the country. Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault said that he's determined that the project will not cause significant adverse environmental effects. The oil development will involve the drilling of approximately 40 wells and includes a floating production, storage, and offloading vessel capable of producing up to 200,000 barrels of oil per day. And that's the news. I'm Shane Bigham.
There are more than 200 million people living in the United States today. 51 of them are Soviet deep cover agents, hypnotically programmed to become instruments of total destruction. They don't know who they are, but one man knows that all it will take to trigger them is a simple phone call.
Bascom's Auto Repair.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Remember, Nicolene, miles to go before you sleep.